Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Any kind of updates and the such usually I'll go about on Twitter X. And later today we'll get a Midnight Suns episode. And just a quick recap here. I got some 4K and 1080p completed gameplay series. If you are curious about any of these games, they are here on the main page of the channel. And basically that's it. Not much else to publicize on the channel. So let's go to the news. Similarly, Sony officially teases PlayStation 5 Pro, which is very interesting. There's also regarding this tease and the such. Some people are speculating that probably this is one of the reasons that PlayStation ramp up a little bit the PlayStation 5 prices in Japan. Maybe because of the, I don't know, probably soon to be announced PlayStation 5 Pro launch date or something like that to make it seem more enticing. The product itself, it's a possibility. Even though again, PlayStation doesn't only sell on Japan. That's why I found this a little bit odd. Some things said there, but yeah, um, PlayStation itself is not in the in the best I don't know situation here. Um, I mean, all the fact that more recently regarding Concord and some of those shenanigans happening there. Again, I'm assuming that given the timeline of events, probably they saw this coming with Concord, and they, I don't know, trying to recoup some of the revenue here by ramping up the PlayStation 5 cost there on Japan, especially. Very bit odd how they went about it, but yeah. In terms of specs, again, I'm not a very console follower thing here, but yeah, seems to be a huge upgrade regarding PlayStation 5, especially on the GPU side. It seems to be almost like 50% plus in terms of almost kind of the double in terms of compute units on the GPU side there. And the GPU clock, it's again, it doesn't need that much of a uplift there. We see basically the same uplift in terms of the CPU. I think the CPU is basically the same thing with a little bit overclocking there. Again, they say here AMD RDNA 3, RDNA 4, RT. I'm not sure what they. Again, usually these SoCs are basically very um, handmade or hand tailored to the consoles itself, so it's not something that can be applied to DIY PCs. So, but it's always curious to see the specs of the console. So, because usually, given that consoles have a predefined spec sheet, um, usually developers tend to use it kind of a benchmark in a sense to develop games and take into account those specifications of the consoles. But yeah, other than that, I don't see nothing more here. The same kind of memory configuration. Again, I'm assuming that the GPU uses this memory also. It seems a little bit faster regarding in terms of the Xbox and even the PlayStation 5 Pro, 5 normal version. Sorry. But yeah, other than that, not much else to see. I don't know how they're going to do regarding games. Supposedly, by the end of this month, you'll get more information because this is basically a tease, which is just showing off the box itself. Again, none of this seems to be official information. But yeah, we'll see if they are going to try and do some special editions regarding games, like updated versions for some games to handle a little bit better on the terms of the graphic side of certain games that already been launched for specific for the PlayStation 5 Pro. I think we saw something like that with the PlayStation 4. I'm not sure. Again, I don't follow that much consoles. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But yeah, they teased the PS5 Pro. Let's see how this goes. Hopefully, it pushes a little bit more for the next generation. I will assume it will be better specs, given that this updated version in terms of CPU is still Zen 2. We already are on the, on the side of things in terms of DIY market. We're already on Zen 5, even though it's not a, kind of any kind of huge leaps regarding Zen 4, but it's like two to three generations ahead of what the consoles are doing now in terms of the CPU side of things. And again, even the GPU stuff is RDNA 2. It's older kind of technology there for the GPU side of things. We'll have to wait and see if the when the next generation comes. I will assume it will be a mixture between Zen 5 to Zen 6, something in the between there, and probably will have RDNA 4 kind of compute units inserted there in a more mainstream kind of things regarding these two console brands. And we will see if Xbox will do any other kind of next generation console, because again, that side also doesn't seem to be faring very well on the console side of things. And hopefully they at least on the Xbox don't launch a Series X and Series S kind of a thing when they launch the next generation, or else it's going to be a shit show for them, as it is being to a certain extent on this generation. Um, and continuing with that thing with Sony, we saw Sony CFO making bizarre claims that the company doesn't have enough original IP. Again, I don't understand this. I don't know if it is something that was lost in translation. Um, but he says he does not believe the company has enough original IP as it attempts to complete overall the company from a consumer electronics company to a global entertainment company. Again, I'm not sure if he's trying to say that he doesn't have enough IP on certain aspects, like for example, films or anime or some or animation or anything in those lines. Um, Even though they did the Last of Us series, I think the second season will come up soon or something like that. I don't know. Uh, I will assume that's more about that because he also had that we are lacking on early phase of IP, and that's an issue for us. Again, I'm not sure if it is something that they are struggling to put the IPs that they have on the gaming side to other mediums like films, series, or animation, or something like that. I'm assuming that's more that because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, I tried to watch the Financial Times, but those guys got the you can only see if you are a subscriber, so fuck those guys. But yeah, interestingly enough, Sony has a lot of IPs he can work with, and these IPs are owned by Sony, which is interesting because not only from their own, for example, the Spider-Man one that they Sony by itself has the rights there, because as long I think the IP rights and ownership works while they do X amount of movies between a certain amount of period of time, something like that. But also from studios that they bought throughout the years. We got, for example, Sucker Punch. They have Ghost of Tsushima, Infamous, and Sly Cooper. Naughty Dog created Jack and Daxter, Uncharted, Last of Us. Again, the Spider-Man thing. Then we got Fire Sprite, which developed Horizon. We got Band Studios, which creates Siphon Filter, Days Gone, Resistance Retribution. We got also Insomniac Games, which has the Resistance and Ratchet and Clank. Then they also own, for example, God of War, Stockholm, Killzone, Warhawk, Medieval, Mag, and Bloodborne. Again, I'm not sure exactly what these kind of claims are, or trying to justify, I don't know, the fact that they are not very strong on first party things. Not sure. We got also Days Gone here, which is a very interesting game. We never saw anything that from the Band Studios. I think they are. I think they are Band Studios or something like that. Yeah, Band Studios created Siphon. Days Gone. Days Gone. Here it is. Band Studios. Siphon Filter. That's interesting. This game seems to be interesting. Again, but then again, they butchered the IPs when they ported to PC. Got the example of the PSN requirement stuff. People on PC. Again, it will give less sales because you're just limiting 180 regions or so off the get-go, and then people don't like if they have availability. You need to link the account on several games that they launch. I think that counting from this year beyond, I think it will be a requirement there in most cases. But yeah, I don't know what he's talking about here of making this kind of weird claim. Uh, but I will assume something was lost in translation, and I think he's talking about given that they are trying to overall uh, sorry, the consumer electronic company to global entertainment company. I think it's more about the other forms of medium, like again movies, series, or even animation, taking advantage of that IP, those IPs that they own, and not translating or not having anything on the works at this moment in time to translate to the other media formats. I don't know. I think it's the only reason that I can see regarding that. In other stuff, we got an update regarding the spiders management, regarding strike negotiations. This is from the studio that brought Gridfall and Steel Rising. I think it's called Steel Rising, the game. Again, I thought something was a little bit off, especially from the people from the union and some stuff that we saw on social media and the things. Because again, when you try to put things on your perspective, usually people tend to sometimes exaggerate a little bit the situations there. Again, not saying that it was nothing, but similarly, they reach a deal. And on the headline, they say that raising wages by 11%. It's a little bit more. They will. It's more about again. This is the minimum salary was raised by 11% than anything else. But yeah, uh, again regarding the beginning of the year, the union uh, got the 20-page open letter kind of things, and the spider management at the time contested those statements, saying that there are false and defamatory potential damaging the company's interest. Again, they were trying to negotiate on on the backdrop, so out of the spotlight. Usually that's how negotiations will go between unions and the companies themselves. And supposedly, as Spider's management has consistently discussed negotiations with sub representatives to reach an agreement. However, dialogue has uh, between them reached a standstill due to radical position expressed by the union itself. Again, they were saying that. Again, I covered this a few days ago at least. But yeah, the conclusion to a certain degree is wages have been increased while they received 6.1 increase in fixed salaries in 2023. New increases will take effect in 2024. The minimum salary again was raised by 11%, which did meet the union's request, as the average increase is 3% regarding 2025's wages. Again, negotiations for next year will begin at the end of this present year. uh, Again, I don't see a lot of stuff here, given that the seems that the union's request was not that big of a deal, or they were trying to make that the management was intended not to met the deal there. I don't know. And then the management continued. There is no intention to change the working arrangements of employees who are currently working remotely full time. The management are committed to improving its initial proposal, and then they continue that they announced that they will launch an audit on the working conditions and environment, including an assessment of psychosocial risks. Again, whatever this means, psychosocial risks. And then they say and reminded the employees that they are on a permanent contracts, and that the studio experienced growth on this workforce last year, demonstrating its attractiveness within the industry. And also last year they achieved 94 out of 100 on gender equality index. Again, I don't know what's the confusion here. It's like a top score, so I'm not sure where the equality thing comes up here in terms of issues. To conclude the statement, they said that they emphasized that the working conditions prevailing within the studio do not correspond to the portrayal made by some in the media in an attempt to destabilize the company. Again, if you pressure too much, it's not pressure. If you try to exaggerate certain things to the point that you can destabilize the company can go under. uh, Given, if I think it's the case here, that if they have investors, they have the social awareness of the investors pulling out or not from this company. If you don't walk that fine balance, especially if you are from a union, you might be discussing wages with that company. So I don't think it takes anything from that. But yeah. And then the management relies on everyone's sense of responsibility to ensure that quality of dialogue, it values and as maintained in these days is preserved in the future. Again, these kind of things regarding kind of negotiations and especially between unions and the management companies has to be done in a civil manner and in a professional manner, because even though they are representing workers, um, again, I don't think throwing a megaphone and trying to smear to a certain degree the management position there, it does help in any way. Either way, even if it is the management telling the other way around, I don't think it helps the negotiations itself, and especially it usually doesn't work for the people that are affected in this, especially the union workers. But yeah, seems to be at this moment in time solve this crisis that were coming up from spider management. Again, we only heard this because of social media stuff there. That's why I covered to a certain extent. At the time, I commented basically in the broad scheme of things that I thought there was something was not quite right there from what these guys from the union, or at least saying that the union was saying some stuff there. I thought there was something a little bit off there. And to a certain extent, I was right. Again, similarly, after a few days, this all shenanigans. I don't know if it was to try to put some pressure on management. I don't think it helped. On the pressure side of things on the management, I think they had their goals or to leverage or not more within the agreement there. But yeah, so far seems to be resolved. Let's see if again this is basically a public comments here. I don't know. We have to wait for, I don't know, a reply from the union itself, representatives regarding if they like the deal or not. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if something more comes out of this one. Now to finalize here, we're going to start um, finish off with Star Wars Outlaw. Now we got the director admitting that the review score disappointing from his side of things. I don't know. This guy went for Games Radar. I will assume he wanted to puff beefs regarding the discussion of the review scores there. And his comments from this guy, Julian Gerety. I'm a little disappointed with Metacritic. I don't know what it is to be disappointed with Metacritic. Again, people tend to forget that sites like Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritics, and to a certain extent EIMDb, they are aggregators, so they don't have. What they do is they aggregate results from other places, and then they present it as an average there. Metacritic itself is not a review site. It aggregates the results from all the outlets from, I don't know, dozens of IGN variations of franchises there, from other review sites, including Games Radar, and they just put it an average there. The same thing. The, the added thing that they have is the user score. People can put their reviews there. But other than that, I don't see why he's disappointed with Metacritic. I think Metacritic works as intended, which is an aggregator, especially for the professional sites and the review scores that they pull the data from. It's just an average. I don't know why there is disappointment with Metacritic, but again, these guys, I don't know what they think what Metacritic is or what these aggregator sites are supposed to do for them. But yeah, I don't see what's the issue with Metacritic is in this case. And then, of course, recognition from press and critics is very important to us, but players are really connecting what we did. I don't think it is what it is because on the Metacritic side, the users or the players score on an average is lower than the critics. Even though the critics score, I think IGN from the IGN USA, I don't know, in other countries, pulls a little bit or skews a little bit because they are not even consistent, of course, because they are different reviewers, but they're not even like consistent on the scores that they give, um, which I think IGN should, given the model of the business, they are like McDonald's. You franchise the brand of IGN. That's why I think there is counted like different results from those IGN franchises. But I think it will be more, I don't know, them having their own aggregate there. But because they are independent business, I'm assuming that they are considered completely different aspects of a sorry, completely different sites, even though they have the same name. I think it works a little bit in that sense, but still, then they give a lot of high favorable results there, which it is what it is. But yeah, the players are not on the same page with a lot of critics here, so I don't know what kind of a player feedback he's receiving here. Maybe he's got some filters on to only see positive feedback. And then again, the game itself is not in a good shape. Again, I think the only consistent positive thing that I heard about the game is the kind of the vibes from the environments. Again, we already know a lot of it. I think we got Tatooine. We got a lot of environment stuff there that it's been seen on movies and everything. So making it sound familiar to the player, I think they did a good job on that, trying to capture the vibe of the planets of Star Wars. And again, we already have very reference material visually from movie series and all other stuff. So that's why I think people can be easily immersed on the game in that aspect. But again, from everything that I've seen, and I've seen a lot of variations of the same kind of videos, graphics not good, a lot of performance issues, a lot of bugs on the gameplay mechanics, from stealth to combat to shooting. Um, the melee portion of the combat is very weird. How they handle that, into mechanically wise. And then again, the bugs is a shit show there, and the fact that they on the people that purchased the $130 version of the game, after 2 days before the launch, the patch day, or the first day patch, or 1 day patch, I don't know how you call it. um, After that patch was applied, people have to start over all over again. So there were people that played like a couple of hours, other people played like 20 hours. They have to start over all over again. So again, that's why you never pre-order games. You're basically beta testing the game for the developer there, and you're paying for it to be a beta tester again. Yeah, and it's still with after the game come out officially. Again, a lot of game breaking bugs to a certain extent. You also falling off through the map, one of those things that I don't know how it still happens. But yeah, and in terms of the other things around the game, is very Ubisofty. Feels similar to any kind of Assassin's Creed or even Far Cry mechanics. It's basically a reskin of those little mechanics, nothing improved, nothing with a flair regarding that, which it's a shame. But what can you do? It's what they are doing there. So again, they are trying to catering. I don't know, for I don't know, people that don't like playing games. I don't know. And then he thinks that this game will be a game that millions of people are going to play for years and years, and never going to stop and they are never going to stop improving it. Okay, guess a little PR there. And again, it's clear that the game director had high hopes for this game and expected a higher score overall from the critics. Again, I don't understand the fact that you just did a game with a very known IP, nobody owns you anything because you're creating a product. And when you launch a product, you are not own anything. You're not own the money from the players. You not own the 10 out of 10s from critics. Because you're launching a product, it doesn't mean that you are own anything. And I think this, it's a huge problem in the a lot of industries, is the fact that they think that people owe you something by the fact that you did some work for with a product there. It's like a cell phone. The fact that Apple launches an iPhone, that doesn't mean that people own them the money of the iPhone, even though they never use an iPhone. It's a product. It's kind of the same thing there. Um, and of course, after this botch launch, the Ubisoft shared that they have hit a 10-year low. I saw a video that the stock prices, when they lowered the last time, like a couple of days, it reached the same price that they did when they launched the first IPO 30 years ago or something like that, which is something to think about. And again, although Star Wars Outlaws has very massive responsibility in this, they're also behind Skull and Bones and X Defiant, which is not good. Uh, the quadruple A game Skull and Bones did not go well, and Star Wars Outlaw again. Um, I don't think he's going to fare a little bit better. Then we got the season pass stuff there, which basically is new cosmetic alternative storylines for players to complete. Again, it's just extra content they cut off from the main game and just repackage and sell you for higher price. And again, even if it's giving you precision and microtransaction to action them. Okay. Um, and he finalized the game director that there is a level of pride, happiness, sense of accomplishment amongst the team. Outlaws was in development for roughly 4 years, and the team literally reached for the stars. No, they didn't. You're fooling yourself. You're just patting the back on the development team there. But yeah, this game is not going to, doesn't look very good. Might be, I don't know, a serviceable game, but it's not something that they think that it is. But yeah. And then to finalize here, we were blessed by not hearing the Star Wars Outlaw actress Humberly González, but now she spoke, and again, the conversation, it's a lot of platitudes and a lot of again, it's the ego. People think that they are own, and the self-realization, they are not thinking in telling good stories, even because this interview was in conjunction with oh, she called Nikki Foy, the main writer, which curiously she worked on Far Cry 6 and Watch Dogs Legion, which by itself is not that. They don't seem very good ones. Those games, also, from what I understand. But yeah, the actress who portrayed Case Vest says the video game industry has a lot of misogyny, while also praising Ubisoft and massive entertainment for ensuring the only character in the game is female. Again, it's all about me, my representation, my feelings, my perspective, and we will see this a lot highlighted on the interview here. Basically, the question or the overall theme of the interview was so are nerdy fandoms, especially things like Star Wars, present very male dominated, whether that's the creative team or the fans? What it is like to lead the charge on this, both as the creative team and as the voice and the body of Star Wars Outlaw, to lead this male dominated universe and have it be woman first right now? First things off, Star Wars was always, when it was created, was a little bit more male oriented because of the, and people tend to forget this kind of, um, there is a difference how males and females perceive content, usually movies. Um, in a generally speaking, males identify better with a blank slate, try to enjoy the experience as the protagonist discover things and takes a journey out of it, while female um, uh, usually tends to insert themselves in the character themselves. They can only identify with the person if they can see themselves inserted in that character, while the male counterparts usually don't need that to identify with the character itself. It's more abstract in that sense. That's why usually um, we always have seen boys usually use the imagination, and they can pick anything and can imagine a world, can make stories out of it. They can pick a Batman and see themselves as the Batman, um, and the stories that can bring up to it. While usually when little girls usually play, they tend to insert themselves in the story as the main character to a certain thing. I think it has to do a little bit with the abstract and more egotistical, in the sense that more feeling like kind of a thing. How you females and males tend to identify themselves with the character and how the story is told. And Star Wars deals with, or tries to deal with, a lot of good and evil concepts. Again, the imagination of sci-fi, what is beyond the galaxy, a person that is a blank slate, which is basically Luke Skywalker, like a boy of nowhere planet, farmer, moist, whatever it is that he is doing there, and basically it's get picked up. It takes kind of a very broad strokes hero's journey throughout the trilogy until he accomplished the knighthood of the Jedi, and then can redeem his father. There is a lot of themes there that George Lucas tried to approach there, and usually females cannot identify because they not because Luke is a boy, but because how the hero's journey usually tends more for male or boys, while usually females or girls usually need to insert themselves in the story, something that it's very difficult usually for women to identify themselves, not only because it is a boy or not, is because they don't see themselves because they cannot fathom, or usually not fathom. Usually they have more difficulties in grasping abstract concepts and what the character is passing through, and usually the story has to be more self-centered than other things. Um, that's why usually when you see something is very girly, you kind of notice that. But yeah, it's a psychology rant, kind of very basic stuff there. I'm not a psychologist, so don't take 100% of what I'm saying as true facts. Again, it's very broad strokes perceptions of how entertainment works between boys and girls. But yeah, other than that, even Nikki Foy, the main writer, she kind of gives away the game a little bit, recalling a moment when she made a lightsaber at Galaxy Edge and admitted she wanted to be Han Solo. There it is. It's she wanted to overtake that role. The only way she could identify with Han Solo is replacing Han Solo and be Han Solo in that sense. That's what I was trying to reach a little bit there also. I just cried very hard the whole time because I was like, this brand meant so much to me, and I didn't have someone like Kay to really see myself in. That's one of the big issues that I was basically letting everybody know. They need women or females, girls. They usually connect better visually. They cannot grasp. Um, they need themselves be part of the main of the story. It's a little bit weird, even though she said that he loved Princess Leia, but she wanted to be Han, right? And I think getting to bring that to life is so special. Again, now you see why KVS exists. It's because it's the desire of Nikki Foy wanted to be the main character of a Star Wars story, and for that she created as a projection of herself. She created KVS, which is basically a female copy of Han Solo, um, and basically that's why we get this game. Doesn't mean I'm against having a KVS, but it is how the character itself and the motives of the creation of the game. You can get it right away. Again, it's not even a story. Is representation. That's what I mean with representation. Is people insert themselves in something instead of trying to tell a story, or trying to tell a story through experiences and through actions and all that. It's just because it's me projected in a world that I like. Basically, it's what it is usually with these people here. Then the actress shared their answer. Yes, to be a leading woman, not in a Star Wars story, but in the video game industry, which is also tends to have a lot of limitations in the misogyny and kind of in and out politics of who can be a part of it and who can play as. Again, it's a lot of platitudes, always the same jargon, always the same kind of, to this point, boring. The mental gymnastics here, even though that doesn't mean that some people don't have difficulties of reaching to a certain place, or that. But yeah, she continues. I am incredibly proud to the team of the team. Sorry, having chosen someone like me. Again, you will see a lot of me, but also only me. That there isn't a male counterpart to the story of Star Wars Outlaw. That we are focusing on a female point of view of a scoundrel story because we've only really ever seen males in the scoundrel position. Again, and there is a reason. Usually, I don't think people scoundrel. It's like because Han Solo is a little bit of the anti-hero kind of role. There, he's not a good guy per se. Because a scoundrel usually it's something that males tend to be, or tend to be more in line. You don't usually see a lot of scoundrel ladies. Usually, usually it tends to be a more male role in that sense. There, that's why usually we see more of them than ladies. Even though there are a lot of ladies, and some of them are badasses. Uh, I remember seeing a series, an animated series that we got for. I think it was a bounty hunter. I forgot the name of the series, but I liked the lady there. She's completely insane, kind of a scoundrel, kind of a thing, but it's made in a really good way. But yeah, continue with this the Star Wars Outlaws. So the actors continue. So representation is important for me as an immigrant, Latina in Canada. Again, the representation, the me, which I'm a Latina in Canada, and then about what this means to me as an artist. I follow this dream. Um, Again, not having any of my family here, not having a lot of mentors in my family, which I think is it's a huge issue in this generation to a certain extent. They don't have a good male mentor, or kind of point of anchor, or safe, or someone to look up as a male role there. That's why I think they feel the need to do, I don't know, replace that role to a certain extent. But yeah, again, the interview continues. Again, aren't a lot of Latins in this space. For me, I know that this was going to mean a lot for her, of course, not just me and my community and my family. It's not the community, or the families involved those communities. Me. But and then only afterwards, but to everybody else who's watching it too and playing it. It's kind of an afterthought. They're not focusing on trying to reach an audience or trying to tailor something for an audience. It's about self-realization, which before it was an afterthought. It is something that we saw a lot of in acting, at least in the early days, which is it's the project. The focus was always the project, the character, and how can I try to bring that character to life. And then as an afterthought, usually the, let's say, the actor or the actress had the me part, the self-realization afterwards. It was an afterthought after trying to realize the character, because with the character it was itself in the story, was being inserted on the story and trying to fulfill that vision of the character from the story writer or the writer of that story. It was the primary goal, which is nothing, which is not what we are seeing in today's entertainment, is trying to tell a story with a concept there, even if just for entertainment purpose. You don't need to passage a message or something like, or a lesson. Even if it is just a shenanigan story, usually it's not about the story or trying to entertain other people. It's about your self-realization, and then if it entertains somebody, good. If it's not, too bad. That's why we don't see a lot of game selling, in that sense, when they try to, again, do the opposite of what usually sells as a product, especially on the entertainment field. But yeah, and again, it continues. She then bizarrely posited, when they go, oh, this is a cool character, I wonder where they're from. Again, who think, when you see a character, who thinks the first question to ask is where they're from? You know what I mean? Where they're from. I don't think I don't think this is one of the first questions that I ask when I see a cool character. If I see a cool character and I don't know, unless she's telling what kind of universe of kind of world this character is inserted here, usually it's not my first question to where they're from, because usually when they ask this question, usually has to do with how if they or not self-identify itself with the character they see. But yeah, they do the research, and they, again, it continues. I just want people to feel seen. If I can be on any of these categories, as a woman of color, immigrant, as Latin, again, it's a lot of check boxes and categories and small boxes and things that again, it's counterproductive. Who is a woman, which is a woman of color, immigrant, Latina, and then what else? What other categories? Who will fulfill that checklist? Because if you take in account what they say, that 50% of the gamers are women, which is not true. If you need pick enough data, you can reach that number, but it's not how it works. You already, if you think that you're making a game for people to identify with the same way that you identify yourself with, you're already cutting 50%, because 50% of gamers are men and others are women, because you don't want men to play it, supposedly, because you think people can only play games if you identify yourself with the gender, with how they identify themselves. You're already putting the market out of reach. Then women of color, from the 50% of females or 100% of the female gamers, not all of them are of color for sure, and not all of them are immigrant. So of color and immigrant, you're just reducing your market reach there. And then as a Latina, with all this mixing, you're reducing even more what it is, because I know there is a lot of Latino people that are immigrants, and in not only United States, because United States is not the world representation in terms of how things work out. But again, there is a lot of Latino people that are immigrants all over the world. And if you just concentrate yourself on Latina of color as an immigrant, I don't think you have a huge market to sell this game to. If again, because I have to take in consideration that because you identify yourself with, and you can only play a game basically if you identify with the character itself. You just, by your own standards, you're just limiting yourself who can play this game, or you can buy this game for. But again, who am I? But yeah, she continues for the next generation, for those little girls in the Galaxy Edge, for the little girls watching, for anyone back home, for anyone who back home who is Latina, immigrant, and woman of color. It seems that way. Again, uh, it comes for me if they just simply get to see someone like them on screen. Again, this is same thing that we'll be seeing over and over, representation and seeing yourself in. Again, they don't even they don't even know how to explain, see, simply get to see someone like them. In what sense? Just it's just physical. It's just the shell. It's not something that can comport yourself to your values, your experience, your thoughts, or trying to think a little bit out of your own zone of comfort, which usually the big games and the big stories ever told is something that makes you think out of your comfort zone. But that's just me again. Again, it means something to them. Feel inspired, feel strong, feel seen, feel represented. Again, these platitudes, they are all over the place. That to me is the goal. It's platitudes. The goal from this person is platitudes as a Latina woman of color, immigrant woman of color. Okay, it's incredible because it's really is just beyond me. Again, an afterthought. So the conclusion to make it as a stakeout. Um, as a final thought, because it's what people will pay attention the most, is last thing said, which is it's really just beyond me. Even though everything before, 90% of the dialogue, the replies and all that jazz in the conversation is all about them. Self-realization, me, and then if it fits on anybody else's, good. If not, then they continue the interview, but again, then they go about the some part of the sales there. But again, I pull up this article to demonstrate again that these people are a little bit out of their depths. They don't know what they're doing there. Might as well she been I don't know, not say anything, being silent, just no comments or something like that, than to open up her mouth and just again another disappointment in any kind of actors and people that are in this media that just again when they open their mouths you only hear empty platitudes, me, and then if it fits in other people, I don't know, checkbox, good. If not, you owe me everything that I want you to owe me. Basically, you owe me the praise, you owe me the money, because I worked very hard for this. Um, again, it's a little bit the woke entitlement to a certain degree. Nobody owes you anything. If you're making a product, you're susceptible to praise, to critique, good sales, bad sales, depend on the quality of the product. And in this case, Star Wars Outlaw is not a very good product. It's barely passable, let's say, at this moment in time from what I've been seeing there. But yeah, this is today rant. I'm just going to wrap up some gaming deals. We got first time Baldur's Gate 3. It's on sale until the 9th of September, so not much time left. 20% off. And we also have digital deluxe edition DLC things here. I'm not sure what they have here, because the content is always. I think it's some extra goodies there. But yeah, 20% off. We got also a hard space shipbreaker. It's kind of simulation where you dismantle ships in space, basically. Seems very interesting. Always had very positive feedback, so I think it's a good one. It is 65% off. We got also No Man's Sky, 60% off. They had the Aquarius update like yesterday or so. Got some fishing and the fishing mechanics and other stuff there, recipes and some quest lists on regarding everything fishing related. So got some stuff interesting here going on. We got also Atomic Heart. It's for sale again, around 60% in all editions. Again, between very positive to positive reviews all over the place, at least 70% and up in terms of the feedback here. We got also Aliens at the Sand. The only shame is this game is real-time strategy. I'm not too keen on that, but this game seems pretty good. 50% off, which is good. And then you got Dome Keeper, which is 50% off, and the deluxe edition is also around 51%. On GOG, we still have Alien Isolation, the collection, 80% off. We got 40% on Cult of the Lamb. This is the standard edition, but you got the cultist edition also. It's not that much expensive there. Then you got Inside, little game there, great experience. I played this one, and Limbo I didn't play. I played this one because I managed to claim it on Epic Game Store for free months ago, and I managed to play it. And Limbo seems to be in line with the same kind of experience. It's an earlier game from the same developers. Um, and yeah, it's 75% off. And finally, we got Wall World, 60% off. Again, I do recommend if you buy Deep Threat. I bought it on Steam. I think I bought it full price. I'm not sure. But even at full price, it does really get his worth out of the price there. It's got some several mechanics. You got the mining stuff. Then you got some stages on tower defense, kind of like thing. Got some boss battles there, and then you got a story which is again it's very interesting. But yeah, very good game overall. I really did like this game. I completed the story mode, and I think I managed to operate everything on the game. Very interesting. It took me around 20 or more hours there. It was very enjoying. Very addicting. It's one of those games, just one more run. So it's got this temporal pull for me. And yeah, basically that's it for today. I'm just going to wrap up with a plug on my Patreon for access support. The access support is more in line for me to try to get a better storage solution for me to be able to get backups of stuff that I do for my clients, and also some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.